Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Later in our Your Health segment, we will focus on a very common back condition and find out when treatment is needed. That's ahead. First tonight, a powerful father-son story that unfolds in a succession of Sundays. Joining us now is Jerry Sandusky, WBAL sportscaster, voice of the Ravens, and now the author of Forgotten Sundays, a son's story of life, loss, and love from the sidelines of the NFL. Jerry, it's so good to have you here.
Good to see you, my old friend.
I knew your dad when you first were hired at Channel 11 just a couple of years ago. I remember the name. Just a couple. And I knew there was a connection to the Colts, right, but I didn't remember if it was player or coach. And the story goes back to the 1950s when your dad was the 18th pick.
Well, he was the 18th pick in the NFL in 1950.
Wow.
For the Cleveland Browns, which today would have been a first-round draft pick. Back then it was a second-round draft pick. Today he would have probably made in the range of $14 million. Back then his salary was $5,000, and his signing bonus was a steak dinner.
Yum.
So he starts off as the 18th pick.
Who was his agent for all that?
That would have been himself.
Right.
They didn't have agents back then. So it was a completely different time. And what today would have been an opportunity that would have set up your family for generations, back then, you had to work in a trucking company in the off-season just to make ends meet. So it was a different world, but it was the world that spawned the NFL that is today.
How long did he play?
He played 7 years, 6 with the Browns and 1 with the Packers, and then he coached in college for a couple of years, and in 1959 he became an NFL coach with the Baltimore Colts. And
that era was the Shula era, right?
Right. Well, he played.
Johnny Unitas walking around.
He played with Don Shula with the Browns, and Otto Graham and Dante Lavelli. And they had about 12 Hall of Famers on that team. He comes to the Colts, and Weeb Ewbank is the head coach, who becomes a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Johnny Unitas is the quarterback. Artie Donovan, who he had played against, he's now coaching. Big Daddy Lipscomb. Bubba Smith comes later on. I mean, it's just. Jim Parker. It is just a series of Hall of Famers who he either played with or coached throughout his coaching career, which spans 5 decades.
That's amazing. And one of the things about being the son of a coach, I would imagine, as opposed to being the son of somebody in any other profession, is that his wins and losses were public. Everybody in town knew how Sunday turned out.
Right. Yeah, if your dad's an accountant and you're a classmate, you don't know if your dad's firm is doing great or poorly. But when your dad's a coach, everybody knows if things are looking good or things are looking bad. And they also figure out that the wins and the losses impact the family more than the coaches. By that I mean, sure, the coaches want to win desperately, but as soon as the game is done, the coaches are on to the next game. Their families live with it to this day for the rest of the week until there's another chance to get another win, because a win sets up your week. A loss, and you know it's going to be a long week.
You know, even for fans, and probably in your current role as a broadcaster, you feel it a little bit. So multiply that by a factor of 1,000 and you get a sense of it.
It's truly something that dictates the tenor of your life. It becomes almost a metronome. When you're a family member and your father is a coach, once that game is done, you now start counting down to the next game. And if it's a win, you know your dad's going to be in a good mood after the game. There'll be a party at home, and things are great, no homework. If it's a loss, you're going to your bedroom, you're doing your homework, and you're not talking until about Thursday. And then when your dad's kind of moved past that loss, he's starting to get amped up for the next game. So that little slice of time you have to talk with him on Thursday, you have to be quick with it, and you have to be careful not to hit a tripwire.
I heard you say that it was through the process of writing the book that you got to know your dad best.
It really was, because as I started to talk to different people and his old players and some caregivers later in his life, you got a sense of the man who had stood up to so much difficulty in his life. Jeff, in sports, we tend to look at the high notes. My dad was on 4 Super Bowl teams. He has a Super Bowl ring. He played on 6 NFL championship teams. But there's life and death and struggle and trials and tribulation all in between that. And as I wrote the book, I got to see this consistent theme of a man who was willing to put himself behind others, who had tremendous faith, who believed in family, who believed in doing the right thing, even if it didn't benefit you. And as I looked at the course of his life, it wasn't like that emerged suddenly in his 70s. That's the man who fought in World War II. That's the guy who was the 18th pick in the NFL draft. That's the guy who was a young coach, a young father, an old coach, and an old man at the end of his life sharing what little wisdom he had left to give me. And the wisdom was profound.
There was a lot of wisdom. He was forgetting it because he developed Alzheimer's at about what age?
About 75.
Okay.
So he retires from coaching in the NFL, and by 75, he's starting to develop Alzheimer's, and he passed at 80. And near the very end of his life, my brother Jim and I were visiting with him in his assisted care home. And anybody with an Alzheimer's loved one will recognize this. There are these little windows of pure clarity. They don't last very long. And in this case, it was about 30 seconds. And he was in a deep fog, didn't even know who we were, and then snap. He connected with us, looked at us, and he goes, it is so great to see you guys today. And then he got this ponderous look, and he said, I never thought it would end this way. Live now.
Great advice.
It gets so complicated when you're old, and you don't think about it. Live now.
What made you write the book?
A couple of things. One was the name thing with the Jerry Sandusky from Penn State.
Wait, let me go off on that for a second, because
No
around here,
Right.
we know you. I've
Right.
known you forever. The idea that anybody would confuse our Jerry Sandusky with a G with the guy who was locked up at Penn State is preposterous. But
He's Jerry with a J.
Right.
And I even spell it out on my Twitter bio. But one day, if you want to get a couple of just head shakers, look at my Twitter feed. Every day to this day, I get people inviting me to spend eternity in hell. And it's just, I understand it. I understand the names sound identical. My dad coached in football. That guy was a coach in football. People don't take the time to really drill down. I get it, and I understand it. But so many people asked me over the last 2.5 years why I didn't change my name. And the book is, in large measure, the answer to that question. And it's because my father, who was this phenomenal man, left me a good name in stewardship. And if there's anything I learned from my father, is that when things get tough, you don't run away. You don't hide it. You don't pretend it doesn't exist. You face it, you stand up, and you be a lighthouse, not a courthouse.
We'll come back to the book. I want to talk about Ravens a little bit. Also want to invite our viewers to give us a call if you have a question about the Ravens or Jerry's book or anything else. A lot going on in local sports, the Orioles. Anyway, the phone number's up on the screen. You can also tweet a question. Twitter address is @MPT News. So, how are the Ravens looking?
They look really good. And here's the big thing that's going to surprise everybody this year, the Ravens' offense. I mean, for 19 years, we've talked about the Ravens' defense. Right.
Okay, well, no, you know what you're talking about. I saw one series in a preseason game. That looked pretty good.
Yep.
Not jumping to any conclusions. You're ready to go?
It's going to be a really good offense. It'll be an explosive offense. It'll be an offense that can run the ball, things they couldn't do last year. And you'll start to see an offense that does things that you've never seen done before, like throw to the fullback, that has new types of targets for Joe Flacco, the arrival of Steve Smith Sr., who gives him another great dimension, the speed of Torrey Smith, the speed of Jacoby Jones, the quickness of Michael Campanaro. That's Steve Smith Sr. on the receiving end there. You'll see Joe Flacco's completions percentage go way up. You'll see his interceptions go down. You'll see the offense become far more efficient. And people will talk about the Ravens' offense this year, I believe, the way we've talked about the Ravens' defense for decades.
All right, we'll come back to the defense. Does everybody in the league, though, know what to expect with a Kubiak offense?
Yes and no. They know what to expect with the personnel packages he had in Houston and he had in Denver. But if you look at what he did in those two cities, they were different because Gary Kubiak's not just a system coach. He's a guy who looks at the personnel he has and then molds his system around it. I'll give you an example. There's a kid on the Ravens named Kyle Juszczyk. He's a second-year player from Harvard. Most people haven't heard of Kyle yet. By week 4 or 5, you'll see all the network shows talking about this kid like the Ravens just invented him the other day. Because Gary Kubiak comes in, sees this kid has unique talent, and can use that talent in ways that people don't normally expect to see on Sundays. So I think, yes, they understand a West Coast offense. They understand the things Gary Kubiak has done in the past. but I think he's got some wrinkles and surprises in store.
We saw Ray Rice there for a second. I've heard that the Ray Rice on the field this year is like the Ray Rice from 2 years ago.
Lighter, faster, quicker. He's definitely got his step back. He lost it last year. He got injured last year. He wasn't the same guy. He was a little heavier. All the things you can't really do and thrive in the backfield of the NFL. In training camp this year, he looks like the Ray Rice who was a game breaker a couple of years ago.
We saw what happened with him in the offseason in Atlantic City. What's your perspective on it? Because you've covered him. You probably know him a bit.
I do. Ray's a terrific young man. And prior to this incident, he was the kind of guy who you would say, that's the grade A quality player you want on your team, no matter who your team is, because he was active in the community, he was good with the media, he was great in the locker room, he always had a smile on his face, he was present, grade A quality kid. We all make mistakes. Ray made the mistake you can't make as a man. You can't strike a woman. And we all teach our sons that, at least I hope we do. He knows he made that mistake, and he'll pay for that. He'll pay for that dearly on road trips. For the rest of his career, he will be a lightning rod of hatred, of being vilified, of being called names. And trust me, Jeff, I know what that feels like. To this day, when I go on the road with the Ravens, people shout things to me in the press box. And Ray's going to have to learn that you can't react, that you just can't react. You have to stand tall and let it go and understand the great lesson that I've learned. Hating is always about the hater. It's not about you.
So that allows you to let it roll off a little bit, and you think, wow, that guy's got a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't invite people to call me names, but so many have. I've learned that that's on you. And if you can't get your head wrapped around that, there's nothing I'm going to do. The other thing I've learned is nobody learns that they're the jackass in the room by telling them. So
Say that again.
Nobody learns that they're the jackass in the room by you telling them that.
So there's no point in telling the guy.
None whatsoever. He'll figure it out in time, or she'll figure it out in time.
Yeah.
But it won't be at that moment.
Let me get back to a quasi-Ravens question, and this concerns your broadcasts on WBAL Radio, WIYY. Terrific play-by-play work, as everybody knows. When I'm watching a game, HD, terrific way to watch football, but I get the national announcers. I haven't come up with a way to get your play-by-play in sync with what I'm seeing on the screen. I mean, I think you're great. I don't want to hear you describe the play 3 seconds after I saw it.
Or on radio, it'll be 3 seconds before you see it.
It'll get to me faster.
Right, because HD takes longer to get back to you than the radio transmission. So if you're technically savvy, here's what you do. You run your audio through your TV system and just DVR it and pause it 3 seconds. If you're not technically savvy, what I'm trying to get them to do this year is I'm trying to get them to put BAL radio on a 3-second delay and keep 98 Rock live. So that way, if you're at the stadium and you want to listen, you can listen to it live. But if you're watching it on TV, if we delay it 3 seconds, that would sync up with everybody's television.
Good plan.
That's my plan. If I can get them to do it, we'll find out.
I'm all for it. I'll tune in. Let's talk to Dan in Anne Arundel County. Dan, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hey, Jerry. You got me there?
Sure
yep,
do,
you're
Dan.
on.
I just wanted to let you know that I'm a born and raised in Rockville, Maryland, and long lifetime Redskin fan. But I truly appreciate WBAL sports announcing, and you're an amazing sports announcer, and
Dan, thank you very much for the phone call. Let me jump ahead on that a second. How many years have you been doing play-by-play? And do you feel?
This will be 9.
Have you changed your approach at all?
Changed my preparation.
If I went back
mostly.
and listened to a tape from 9 years ago.
Actually, one of the things I had to learn when I first started doing the Ravens games, when I first started to do the Ravens games, I did them network style. I did them split right down the middle because I didn't want to be labeled a homer.
Right.
And so I did it with even intonation on touchdowns for the Ravens and the opponent.
Well, there's a Ravens touchdown.
Right. And so what happened was, about midway through the second season, somebody stopped me in the airport and said, I can't tell who scores if it's the Ravens or the other team. And I realized that Ravens fans wanted more intonation on their touchdowns than on an Oakland Raiders touchdown. So you have to learn the subtleties of it. And then the other thing you learn is how to prepare, what belongs in your notes and what doesn't belong in your notes.
Once again, Jerry Sandusky's book is A Son's Story of Life, Loss, and Love from the sidelines of the NFL. We're so glad you could be with us. Jerry Sandusky, you can hear him doing Ravens game all season long. Thanks for coming by.
You got it. We'll see you Saturday from Dallas.
Look forward to it. Just ahead tonight, diagnosing and treating scoliosis. Right back with our Your Health segment after this.
Heather Sanderson here. It's time to award an OTG to this week's loyalty supporter,
Shirley O. of Washington.
Membership matters. Thanks for helping to put a smile in everyone's day.
Tonight on MPT.
The legendary Christopher Plummer won a Tony for playing the acclaimed and notorious stage and screen actor John Barrymore.
Ah, magnificent wastrels.
Now he's Barrymore once more,
Once more,
as he hopes for one final taste of glory.
Richard, Hamlet. For 20 years, Catherine and I were ecstatically happy.
Join us for Barrymore
And then we met.
on Great Performances.
Tonight at 8 on MPT.
For 23 years, America was entertained by Ed Sullivan.
Live from New York, Ed Sullivan.
Tonight at 10 on MPT.
Joining us in the studio for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Kelly Brannigan, Assistant Professor of Orthopedics at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Spine Surgeon at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We want to focus on scoliosis, which I remember as being something that they always check kids for.
Correct.
What is it?
Scoliosis in the broadest base sense is a curvature of the spine. So most people would consider it an S-shaped curve if you look at it on a radiograph. It's actually a three-dimensional problem. So the spine's not just twisting or the S that you see on an X-ray. It's actually rotating as well.
All right, here's an X-ray of a obvious curvature.
Correct.
Now, the spine normally curves a little, I guess, in the opposite vector.
Excellent point. So this is what we would call an AP or a PA radiograph, meaning you're looking at it straight on, the spine straight on. So this is a front view. There should be no curvature on a front view. The curves you're referring to are from a side profile. So normal curvature, neck, area of the spine around the rib cage, and the low back on a side view is totally normal.
What happens if you go through life with a spine looking like that?
Plenty of people do, actually, all the time. We don't tend to operate on scoliosis. That, I should point out, is a teenager. So the most common scoliosis that we're going to talk about today and that I see in the office is adolescent idiopathic scoliosis, meaning it affects the teenage population, generates out of nowhere. There is a genetic component, but most of the time just happens out of the clear blue sky and affects teenagers.
So this is somebody who was okay and normal spine at age 10, and then something in that big growth phase went off course?
Correct, exactly right. So there are other types of scoliosis, so congenital, meaning the child is born with it, secondary to an abnormality in the spinal column, juvenile, affecting a younger age group, and infantile as well. Adolescent idiopathic scoliosis just arrives as out of the clear blue sky. Tends to run in families, genetic component that we're not quite yet super great at detecting, but
And doesn't resolve itself at some point?
does not. Great question. So no, it doesn't. And we tend not to intervene until the curve reaches a certain magnitude or degree of curvature. There's plenty of people walking around all over the place that have curves in their spine that you'd never know, that we've never done anything about.
Yeah. Any idea if you did an X-ray of 100 people out there, how many of them would just an amateur be able to detect some curvature?
If you look at someone carefully, if you have a trained eye, you can tell. Female trimmer people, obviously easier to detect, tends to show an imbalance second to that rotation deformity we were just talking about in their scapula. So the wings in the back of your musculature will show a little bit of asymmetry. Collarbones can be affected, and pelvis also. Tends to affect less than 10% of the population.
So it's something you can't do anything to prevent this?
Correct, no.
And then in terms of treatment, do you have options short of surgery?
Tons of options. So unless the curve reaches a certain, we measure them in angles, unless the curve reaches a certain angle, we don't do anything but observation. So that tends to be approaching 25 degrees if the child is still growing. So the thing about scoliosis is the curve grows as the child's growing, secondary to growth plates in the spine. If the curve is still growing, because the child is still growing, then we brace them if they approach about 25 to 30 degrees. If the curve approaches a higher magnitude, 45 to 50 degrees is when we talk about surgery, and anything less than the 25, we observe.
Your media folks sent over 2 x-rays. It was the first one we had up with the curve, and then the second one showing a corrected spine with an apparatus on it that looks awfully, involved in terms of the surgical procedure and maybe not comfortable either.
Point well taken. So this is a rod and screw construct. So the screws go into the vertebral body themselves. That spans this particular patient's entire spine because both curves were considered needing to be operated on. Essentially, the screws and rods act as an internal brace or strut to hold the spine in its corrected position while the body's doing the work. So it becomes one solid block of bone or a fusion over time.
Is something then removed, the rod, or it just stays there?
Hopefully we never revisit that ever again. No, they stay put. They stay put unless there's some sort of reason to revisit.
Let's take a phone call. This is Carol in Washington, D.C. Carol, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, again, I'm Carol, and I'm watching your show. I have a scoliosis. I was born with it. But I notice now that I'm older, I'm 58 years old, I see now that it's curving more to my right side. It does not hurt, but I was just wondering, but it's very pronounced. So if I put on a top of something, you can actually see how it protrudes. And I just noticed it within the last year or two that was happening. So is there anything I can do other than surgery to correct, or at least, even if it's not going to be corrected, to stop it from curving any further?
Great question. So classic old school teaching used to be that scoliosis didn't progress beyond the growing years. We now know that to not be true.
I just found out a couple of seconds ago.
It can progress up to 1 degree a year.
Wow.
So getting regular radiographs, even once people reach adulthood, is a good barometer to know what's going on with your spine. The surgery is a much bigger deal for adults than it is for adolescents. They tend to rebound much quicker. For adult patients with scoliosis who don't want to undergo a massive surgical procedure, things like physical therapy, active exercise will not modify the appearance, but can help the symptoms.
You brought a model spine with you. Why is it so problematic in so many different ways? I mean, there's all these back conditions we haven't talked about. It's obviously a really complex thing.
Yeah, it's complex and simple, right? Nothing's really changed about the spine in forever, in decades.
Since we started walking upright, I guess.
Correct, and we're constantly developing what we think to be new and better surgical techniques or practices, but I think that a lot of back pain in the adult population is truly the black box of medical management. We don't truly understand it as best as we could.
Are we making progress?
Hope so. I think that the more we understand about the body and pain generators, we tend to be able to tackle those from different avenues better.
Let's talk to Gail in Sussex County, Delaware. Gail, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, my grandson has been through a great growth spurt, and he's only 12 and a half, but he started to bend over a lot. Does that have anything to do with scoliosis?
Great question, Gail. That's actually, you mean when you look at him from the side, that is called kyphosis. So the area around the spine, around the rib cage, can actually develop a forward curvature called kyphosis. And yes, sometimes those are linked. Scoliosis and kyphosis can be linked. Some of it can be postural too.
If somebody has a concern, where do they start? The pediatrician's office?
Great. Pediatricians are the mainstay of referral practice for my patients with scoliosis. They're constantly screening the kids. It's happening more in the office now than I think the school. So yes, I start at the pediatrician, or any orthopedic or pediatric spine surgeon would be always happy to see.
And if there's a key age where you ought to ask the pediatrician to check on it, what would that be?
I'd say any time during growth, or if you happen to notice an abnormality in your child, some sort of asymmetry.
Dr. Kelly Brannigan with the University of Maryland Orthopedics Department, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, a major facelift for a landmark Baltimore hotel, plus new rules for Uber, what that's going to mean for customers of the popular ride-sharing service. That's Thursday at 7:30. Now, for all of us here at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve